Bailey?
Here.
Brower?
Here.
Bryce?
Here.
McLaren?
Here.
Wills?
Here.
We have a visitor as well.
Would you like me to introduce her?
Sure.
This is Carrie. Carrie, we've been friends for a while now, and I still don't know how to say your last name.
Borsima.
Borsima. Okay. This
How
is
do you
Carrie
spell that?
Borsima.
How do you spell
Hello.
it?
Boersema.
Carrie stepped up, and really helped out with Witches Night Out, kind of almost out of nowhere. And I met Carrie through the clothing closet, mostly, and she stepped out, helped me tremendously, and Tony tremendously, and then decided she wanted to help out Christmas in the Village too. So Carrie and I have been working hand in hand on the stuff that I've been working on for Christmas in the Village, as well as I think Carrie's probably been working on a little bit of more stuff. Carrie is a Village resident. She lives over on Oakwood Road, and is volunteering in, like I said, the clothing closet. She's been volunteering with us. And, oh nice, you had it.
Thank you.
Good. Welcome.
And so I invited her this morning to come and sit with us since she's
Great.
been so integral in the last two events.
Nice to meet you. Welcome. All right. So the recitation of our mission. The Ortonville DDA is dedicated to promoting economic revitalization, supporting local businesses, and preserving the natural and historic heritage of the village of Ortonville by using the four-point Main Street approach. You have your consent agenda, the minutes, treasurer's report. Everyone a moment to take a peek. If you haven't already looked at it.
I just need to flip the difference.
Paul when he shows up. Paul, we'll make room for Paul when he shows up.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we have disbursements.
Maybe Rick knows the answer, maybe Liz, is number 3, is that quarterly, monthly?
Monthly. Well, as needed, actually.
Okay.
Depends what I do.
But we have a charge monthly.
No,
Oh, no.
only if I do work.
Okay.
Any other design stuff I do, I don't charge for, so.
Okay.
Okay, would you just, for everybody's sake, recap number 6? The deposit.
Yeah, when we brought Black Dragon Meadery in, we agreed upon a certain number of, or a certain quantity of mead that he was bringing. And that night, when we did inventory, when the event was over, we got a reimbursement check for over $4,000. So the $5,300 that we executed was to get it here, guarantee we would have that quantity here. And we didn't know how big it was going to be, and turns out we didn't need quite that much.
So we got $4,000 of back, essentially.
I don't know the exact number, it's a little over 4,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Number 11, stock grant for Towns Market. I don't remember seeing that. Perhaps it was before I joined. What did they spend that on?
Paint.
Okay.
They painted the
I remember that.
building.
Very nice.
They actually used the color recommendation from Oakland County
Oh,
when
nice.
they did the design assistance.
Looks good.
I move that we accept, that we pay our bills in the amount of $23,894.15.
Support.
Any further discussion?
Not any further discussion? Thank you. Okay.
Brower,
Yes.
McLaren,
Yes.
Wills,
Yes.
Bryce,
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Okay, brings us to business to come before the board. Farmers market is first on the agenda.
You have a proposal in front of you. Essentially, it's asking the board to consent to continuing the organization and planning of a farmer's market in Ortonville. It is asking for the approval to try and recruit a market manager and allocate resources as presented. Just to kind of give you an overview of what you're looking at. There was actually Paul, Brenda, and I in May went to visit the Oakland County Farmers Market just to get some insight into how it all started there, what they've gone through over the years, and how they run their market currently. That really sparked a small group of people to meet on a fairly consistent basis. And Brenda Timmermans has been the lead, trying to keep the group moving forward. And essentially, the group has focused on trying to assess what the need, or if there is a need, if there is support for a farmer's market, what people would like to see as far as day, time, and vendors at the market, and where would we put it. And so the proposal here outlines several of those things and what the committee is recommending at this point. If you recall, we did a survey. The survey was responded to by 386 people. The survey went out both through email and social media. By far the preferred day was Saturday, which isn't a surprise. People may tend to go to a farmer's market on Saturday. And mornings were preferred. People did indicate that they would go in the afternoon, but majority of the folks felt the mornings were best. So the committee has decided on a 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. time frame for the market on Saturdays. The location is, and the vast majority of the respondents to the survey indicated fresh produce is why they would attend a farmer's market. The committee, of course, discussed opportunities to expand the market to include other types of vendors, entertainment, food trucks, etc. But the focus to start will be on fresh produce. But we do recognize that oftentimes fresh produce is time sensitive or date sensitive. So the committee's open to having things in the spring, such as flowers and plants and things like that. The seasonal type of products. As far as location, I point out in here several locations that the committee considered. And the idea of having a farmer's market spread out through town resonated with many of the folks. One individual on the committee, Colleen Love, she's run farmers markets before. She ran the market in Independence Township, Clarkston. She helped Holly start their market or re-envision their farmers market. And she's been a good resource. And when we pitched the idea of having studios or sheds that the vendors could use, she thought it was the coolest idea. She said, this is a somewhat unique downtown setting, and to be able to set up the sheds at different spots in town, she loved the idea. So once she endorsed it, we kind of went with that idea. And of course, which I didn't put in here, the grant we received from Main Street Oakland County and Flagstar Bank is to support the purchase of those studios, those sheds. So that's what's in the plan.
It's exciting.
And again, Matt, the survey was how many people and who was it sent out to and who were the respondents, do we know?
3, it was optional to put in your contact information.
Okay.
We did get lots of contact. The email distribution that we use includes, it's the DDA's email list, which includes businesses, volunteers, municipal organizations that we're connected with, social media that is further reaching.
We shared it on the downtown Ortonville page. I shared it on all the local mom stops, the Village for Villagers page, anywhere that was pertinent to Ortonville, I shared it. So on Facebook.
So email and Facebook on our webpage,
And what?
the survey.
No.
No?
Oh, it was up there.
Was it? I
Yep.
remember.
Yeah, it was up there.
Okay.
And
I
this,
shouldn't have.
we had 386 responses.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Oh, that's really
That's
good.
pretty good, yeah.
The other thing I want to point out is Spratt Farm has set up shop in the municipal parking lot for I don't know how many years they've been doing it. And we did engage them to participate in the committee. And at first, Brenda indicated that they felt a little threatened by the fact that we're trying to plan a farmer's market, and what the committee has decided to do is make them, kind of the anchor to this market, something that, helps to launch the market, and they won't be charged a fee for participating, because they're hopefully going to be remain a fresh produce vendor for us. Bless you. We'd like to bring them in and get their engagement and involvement in the planning process. But even without that, we're going to hopefully make them the highlight of the market to start.
Very cool.
How much is a market manager going to be?
I had plugged in the number $5,000.
Many hours. I saw something about being here full-time while it's in operation. Then how many many hours are you anticipating today? Hard to say. That's for the year, right? 5,000
Right.
for the season, I guess? Or would it be the entire year, that you do year round?
There certainly would be,
Like Christmas screens and stuff like
Yeah.
that?
no, we had suggested that the market would run May 18th through October 26th. But certainly we recognize that if it takes hold, there will be opportunity for it to expand.
Sure.
We just don't want to commit to more than we're able to at this point. As far as the time for the market manager, certainly there will be things to do in the off-season, but the majority of their time, there's much more for them to do during the farmer's market season.
Matt, what about the vacant parcel at the corner of Cedar and Mill Street? Was that like that?
Right next to Tony's building? We did not.
I know the owner's been cooperative in the past on certain short-term functions.
Mhm.
It's a new owner too.
Just a thought.
On the map that's in here are locations that we considered for the studios.
So what I'm asking about is the corner where Pit Body Boot Camp is shown on this particular map. This is the shop small, shop local map. Is that the one you're?
Yep.
It's in the brief.
Oh, you're talking off of them 15?
I don't think they,
Okay.
Fit body?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't
That
think
was
they
on
have
I'm
the-
sorry, I misread the
I think
map.
so.
It's in the little,
Okay,
right
By
next to
Tony's.
Moon Body.
Yeah,
There's
okay.
enough room for some stuff in there.
yeah, there is.
I'm sorry. Mistook myself, misread it.
Well, and to that point, we did discuss, we've gone away from it recently, but we did discuss businesses having the opportunity to sponsor a studio at their location. So it would be there all season, and we started going away from it because of space. There's just limited space, but that would be, that could be a location where the property owner could sponsor the studio.
Now, the studio or the shed, you and I talked about that recently. That's not anything that's really very portable.
Bob?
Semi-permanent, more towards the permanent side, right?
No, well, I did have a discussion with our DPW director who felt they were movable. We would not be moving them very often, but they wouldn't necessarily be permanent. They could be put away for the off-season.
You could build them on skids too,
Mm-hmm.
or on a trailer. Skids would be cheaper, and then you can just,
Use a high-low.
we, I should say, won't be out there doing it,
Good,
hopefully.
okay. I have no further questions.
Yeah, because I volunteer daily.
Your insurance does not want me operating a high-low.
This is really exciting.
Yeah, this is a great brief.
Should
Now,
state
as
too that
far-
they're still looking, they're always looking for more volunteers for the farmer's market as well.
We were encouraged to pursue the market manager sooner than later.
Mhm.
Get that person in place so that they can begin to work with these volunteers and identify tasks and projects for the volunteers. The projections are based on a little bit of research with other farmers markets and their budgets. Many of them are larger operations than what we're starting with, so we had to kind of tweak it. And I mentioned in the proposal that it's supposed to be self-sufficient at some point, but there is some initial expenses that the DDA would be covering.
And you said our cost, a subsidy annual, I'm assuming, would be 25.
That's with the projection. That's, essentially saying we're able to raise the roughly $15,000 elsewhere.
Yeah.
So the Red Barn property was looked at as one of the options
Yep.
for storage, for
Actually holding
For
it,
the
I think.
studios.
for actually location of a studio or two or three or whatever.
When we were looking at that property, we were focused on having it all in one location.
Ah, okay. But it is a reason for perhaps further discussion to eventually acquire the property then. Okay,
And
another good reason.
the other thing that I want you to know, the committee concedes that whatever we start with next summer doesn't have to be the way it is always. And I think that was important for the committee to realize that they don't have to make all the right decisions immediately. They have to do their due diligence. They have to come up with a plan that's well researched, well thought out. But if we go through the season next year and realize that we want to cluster them, then we just move them the next year. We work on some of these locations that you can put more. Roger Ingalls suggested we could put all of them on his side yard. And the committee liked that at first, but the committee's really committed to the farmers market providing opportunities for merchants. And if it's in one spot, they feel like that there's less of an opportunity for that.
They'd like to increase the traffic,
Yep.
foot traffic.
Makes sense. So folks aren't coming in and just going directly to the farmer's market and then, shoot, I'm sorry, I have to do this.
Okay. So are we looking for I see motions on here, are we looking for a recommended motion from this board to proceed to move forward?
Yep.
So that the village council knows.
The hospital, I gotta go.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Before we get that far, I don't see a specific number for allocation of resources, and I may have missed it. I'm not saying it's not in here, but the motion at the top says and the allocation of financial resources. So just want to know what the DDA is committing to this right now.
That revenue and expense projection.
We're just approving the plan.
Right.
But the motion says the allocation of resources as presented. I just want to make sure of how much we're allocating right now.
Definitely take that.
I trust you that
Be careful.
you know that the funds are there, but which page are you looking at?
I put in the proposal that if these projections work, the DDA would be putting in 2,500. We need to put in 2,500 in order to get the grant of 2,500. So, that's our obligation for the grant and for the purchase of those studios. So that would be the funds that are currently in the DDA's budget. But it's important for you to know that we have to meet all these numbers in order on the revenue side, in order for the expense side to be a wash on the expense side. So the revenue is generated from the vendors, either renting studios or tent space, and a significant chunk in sponsorships.
And if those numbers don't come through, because I know, as well as I'm sure everybody else here, that this is something that the people in Ortonville want badly. I'll tell you, all I hear all the time is, farmers market would really be great. So I am in full support of the farmers market. I'm just concerned about budget. So I just want to make sure that we're prepared for worst case scenario.
Well, we have to crawl before we can walk, and we have to walk before we can run,
Absolutely.
so.
Initially, what's needed is the 2,500. Initially, that's where we're at right now. Right.
Right.
That's up front?
That's to purchase the studios.
Okay.
Yeah, so even if we don't, even if we got people to do it, we don't have studios without that $2,500 plus the matching.
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean, we could raise more. It could be zero cost to the DDA if we raised more money.
And I don't mean to sound like I don't expect the DDA to help pay for anything. That's not what I'm getting at. I just want to make sure that we are prepared.
Well, yeah, when we get to the item E, we're going to be talking about money we just lost.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I just want to make sure that we know that if we don't run all the booths, if we don't get enough sponsorship, there's Paul.
Hello.
There's
Sorry about
some-
that, guys.
There's some additional costs on our end. And if we're looking to hire the market manager right away too, or as soon as possible, I mean, we're gonna have to pick up those funds as well until, so I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, and it's kind of several months off, so it's hard, and maybe harder for some of the sponsors or potential sponsors to get excited about it. But that's where we need to start, and not only is that the committee and the DDA's responsibility, but it is the market manager's responsibility as well. So
To garner the sponsorship.
yeah. That's kind of a priority piece immediately, and then the other priority piece is these studios. We need some time to get those here and assembled and in their spots.
And those can be assembled in the DPW garage
We haven't
through the winter.
we have not yet talked about that or planned that.
I guess my question is just, can they be assembling them throughout the winter as time permits?
Whoever would be assembling them, I would say winter is a good time for it.
Okay.
Are you gonna, whether or not it's feasible in the beginning of spring to have
Right.
everything ready?
Right. I just wanna make sure we're getting them and we can get them together and ready to go. Cause they wanna launch in this coming spring, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's the whole,
so, I guess to answer my question, funds we're looking at that are necessary immediately is roughly, or relatively immediately, $7,500. Well, we need $5,000 up front, but we need to be prepared for that. For the market manager, then the $2,500 for the, I keep on calling them she sheds.
You get 2,500 for the matching grant.
Right, and then we need to be prepared for the $5,000 for the market manager, because there's obviously no revenue coming in. But we need that market manager to even think about revenue.
Realizing they're gonna essentially, at least the way I'm thinking about it, raise their own.
Pay for themselves.
Right. Because they're the ones doing the work to bring in much of the revenue.
yeah. We, as an organization, we should be supporting the market manager, but yes, that would be one of the manager's responsibilities.
Could we look at perhaps, if need be, acquiring a loan from the Friends of Amos? 501c3 if we need to? Do you know if that's permissible?
I don't.
I mean, we could look into it.
I know we could get we could ask for a loan from the village.
Okay. Could ask.
I wish we would.
Could ask.
And had we had that type of obligation,
75%
month
on
ago.
a daily basis, and if you're late, I send my cousin Louie over to
It's the cousin Louie thing that's sold.
yes, we can.
I mean, only in the event that there is a cash flow issue.
Right. We have our fund balance as well.
Right.
And we have just under $30,000 in our fund balance.
I mean, so we do have potential backup reserves in order to handle some cash flow issues or
The DDA can have an obligation in the form of a loan. The DDA can have a loan. Just not sure if a charitable organization can make a loan. Friends of Amos.
Just a question. So what's the committee's recommendation? This is a motion that the committee's recommending? Okay.
I don't know, I'm not part of that committee.
It says here that Paul is.
Unfortunately.
They just walked in the door.
I can't go there yet.
Unfortunately, I know Brenda had some obligations this morning, so she was unable to be here. She's pretty disappointed in being unable to make it. She wanted to be here, but.
So basically, this brief that I'm looking at is asking for this body's approval on a rollout basis, based upon what I'm seeing here.
Yes,
That's all they're asking.
yes.
Okay. I'll make that motion then. Support the continued planning and organizing of the farmers market in downtown Ortonville, the hiring of a part-time market manager, and the allocation of financial resources as presented.
Support.
Could you need some
I'll
around the
do it.
meeting?
So we have a motion and we have a support. It's a motion by Mr. Wills, supported by Ms. McLaren. Any other discussion? Questions? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Nice report, nice, well done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Item B then, annual accreditation.
I did probably overly harsh self-evaluation, which is in front of you. The highlighted portions are areas where we do not comply or we do not meet the standard. And of these 10 sections that we're evaluated on, in each section we have to reach a minimum score of 7 points out of 10 in order to be accredited. We can't have 6 in one and 8 in another and be accredited. A minimum of 7 in each category. There are a few copies on the table here of the actual language in the evaluation if you're interested to see. But I just did this self-evaluation quickly because we have to turn this in before the end of the year. Our accreditation is January 29th, and so they would like our material and our assessment, self-assessment, 30 days in advance. And so it's time for us to take a look at these things and try and put in place things that will increase our assessment.
So what does the yellow stand for?
It means we're underperforming.
Who would perform your evaluation?
There is Main Street Oakland County will be here, as well as a national consultant through the National Main Street Center.
So that just has to be completed, that's a technicality. It will be done, correct? For this?
Which one?
For the evaluation, the director evaluation is
Oh,
not done.
yours
With that
is
one,
your
once it's
personal.
done, then you're fine.
Yes, yes. Gotcha.
And by way of,
Say it, sorry.
When he said evaluation, I'm thinking,
This
Oh,
is-
no, no. That's what I was asking. I mean, that's, in other words, that's just not done. It will be done. Or no? Is there not one
I
planned?
hope there was one sent out. I don't know the status of it.
yeah,
It's in process.
I don't know if any that were received back. That was, so just because I'm usually the guy at the front of the table being asked to,
I laughed
Church stuff.
because I didn't turn mine in.
it's kind of hard on Matt to push the board on that. So I can send an email out again. I have in front of me checking reference. I think this was just sent to Allison just last month, just as a reminder. But there's an executive director performance review, and if I send that out, if you all could get back with me within the next week, that'd be tremendously helpful. And then yeah, so that way Matt doesn't have to ask for his own evaluation. And do all
Okay,
that
so we go
stuff.
back to that question. That's not Main Street. That's done
That's right.
internally.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I
That's
asked.
what I'm
Okay,
gonna review.
all right.
But if we don't, as an organization, do the performance review, then they won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of these seem fairly easy.
Yeah, the first one, the vision and mission statement.
All we have to do is review the vision statement, the mission statement, all of a sudden we're at 8.
Right.
Just review it, or I mean,
Literally
we
do
do
it.
have them.
Mm-hmm. You're supposed to show that you've
Talked about it?
reviewed it annually and
Not necessarily
Determine-
changed it, you don't have to necessarily change it.
no.
And how do we show that? By meeting minutes?
I mean,
Hey Liz.
where'd you go?
I joke, but I mean seriously, that's a simple,
It is.
a simple quick
Well,
fix.
this is why, I've been beating this drum for
A while.
a while, and even Matt pulled together a spreadsheet of who could be working on or identified what needed to be worked on, and we were hoping that it would be taken up on the committee level. So here we are, now we're 30 days out essentially from preparing our packet to send, and we have deficiencies. We need to decide what we're gonna do. Like Courtney just mentioned, we can review the vision and mission statement in a meeting, whether it's this one or the next one.
But you need to have that done before the review.
Yeah. And this is a calendar year, so everything should be done prior to December 31st.
Did none of the board members attend national last year then? Or this past national?
No.
And,
You did.
I did
right, but
that.
those are two separate. And number 8, executive director attended national conference, and then the subsection 4 says board volunteers attended national conference. And they're two different quantifications.
Can you give me
Qualified.
that? Well, that would be
Qualification.
a different one for you.
Yeah,
Right.
I haven't taken that.
Criteria, yeah.
But I mean,
You know,
I'm
there's,
already intending to attend for this next cycle, but that doesn't help us with.
number 5 in that standard 8, that we may receive points in that one. I mean, we have done
Number 5.
MSOC training.
Majority of board attended at least one MSLC training.
In the indicator standard.
And we do have our volunteer, our board binders that may get some recognition for number 6 in standard 8.
And what
So
about,
I was very critical when looking at this, because we have to justify. You know, they don't just take our self-assessment and say, oh, great job, see you next year. They interview us.
They'll say, show me your documentation.
Yeah.
But potentially.
Yep.
Maybe not, but they.
Maybe not. Some things they do, some things they don't. But and this is a change. If you recall, this is the first year for this evaluation scale. Previously, it was yes, yes, but, or no.
right, now it's either yes or no.
And it's the point
I think
value.
it's points.
The point value.
When did we get this new process? When did we receive it?
Earlier in the year.
Yeah, I would
Was
say
there
at
a,
least 6 months.
was there a rollout time frame given? I mean,
The whole year, this year.
they gave it to us in the spring?
It was definitely the first
And
quarter.
they're saying you have to comply by the end of the year.
Yes.
Okay.
We were aware of, we were given an opportunity in the 4th quarter last year to provide feedback on this. And then they rolled it out in the 1st quarter.
So 5, 6, and 7 of standard 8, looks like we could put something together relatively quickly, right?
Yes.
And that's only 1 point down.
Right.
And so we got 2, on standard 6 is 2 point, and then yes, we got 1, 2, 3 sections that are 1 point off, and 1 section that are it's 2 points off, assuming that the other ones continue to be something that we're okay on.
Right.
And I would say that standard 6 is the one that concerns me a little bit, because there's
Yeah.
a plan for long-term budget sustainability. Financial policies and procedures are 2 things that we should,
Also, number 6 is contractual agreements with municipality. We don't have anything between us and the village and us and the township?
Written.
No?
What would that take? It's just buying up.
Yeah,
A
for
draft
example, our collaboration on a the copier. You know, we share the cost of the copier, the lease and copy usage. We reimburse the DPW for time that they work on streetscape.
But it's not written down
Correct.
as a contract.
Correct.
Which probably would take a meeting of both bodies, which is longer than a month.
Would it, or is it just in-house because you're just pulling bills that are already paid?
I think it's something that we could probably pull together as a general rule type of, and even approach it as something we have been doing.
I would think that we would be able to have you and the village manager work out that agreement and sign it between the two of you. Wouldn't you think so, Bill?
Yeah.
And then,
I mean,
why can't
generally
you simply
speaking,
acknowledge
those-
the document at a
Well-
meeting? You don't have to approve it, you're
Yeah, just
acknowledging
acknowledging
and getting a receipt
Yeah,
of the
most of
document.
the stuff you're talking about here is stuff that falls within our expense. I mean, the copy machine is,
And not telephone.
On the phone.
telephone is $15 a
Yeah.
month or something like that, but it's
We just need a written agreement.
yeah.
That's all they're
Stuff we've
asking.
been paying for already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 5 in standard 6 probably could, based on our project briefs that we currently have, we probably could say that we have budgeted properly to perform all those projects and initiatives. Again, like I said, I was trying to be very critical.
Well, on number 2 on that, the board has not adopted any financial policies, but we just don't have it in writing.
We have an annual budget.
We
You have an annual audit too. I
Yeah.
mean,
There you go.
We don't have a purchasing policy, we don't have a,
There's no checks on the, is what you're saying, as far as to hold back on. We have to make a decision every single time we have a financial commitment to make.
You do that every month.
I think the difference is though that we don't have like a Matt can like at the village, so Bill can make a purchase up to a certain amount without requesting board approval. We don't have anything like that in place. Is that what this is asking for?
that would be
a purchasing
a policy
one
or
component.
procedure
That would be part of it.
A component, right, and a policy for reimbursement when volunteers spend money. I mean,
Correct.
we don't have a policy written down in place for those things.
Right.
I think is
Yes.
not our regular stuff that we,
Right.
not our budget, not our disbursements and not our stuff like that. It's the other stuff.
Yeah, well, even the, how we go about issuing payment on something. There's not a procedure, I mean, we have our practice, but you can't point to it in a procedure.
And item 2 says board adopted. So,
Where we're lacking is having stuff actually written down.
Documented, written down.
But
as a
for that, if
procedure.
you, I mean, I'm assuming you can pull a sample like you can for, like with us, you just pull one off MML, plug in your name, you use the procedure, send it out at the December meeting, everybody approves it, you're done.
Oh, yeah, we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
They're out
I
there.
mean, that's, you know, everybody gets a chance to read it, put your input in December, you're approving it, and you're done.
You're part of us now.
I say everybody.
number 5 on standard 6, adequate to achieve. What is your take of what that means?
Well, yeah, I just mentioned that that could be a spot where we do get points. Our budget is currently set up to support projects and initiatives that we have place. So I would say that it's possible we could get points there. Now, if they look at it, because in our budget, we have allocated $13,000 from our fund balance, if everything happens. And the reason we did that is to support something that would come out of the new master plan.
Right.
Do they view that as a positive or a negative? Using 40% of your fund balance.
Depends on how you present it too. For a major project, that would be, you know, the
I would like
expenditure.
to think that is valued and credible.
Right.
Standard 4, why would we get a 0 for item 2 under standard 4? Celebrate unique history.
Refer to the actual language.
Well, what does it mean to maintain building inventory?
Have one.
Again, we're just missing the documentation. Okay. And that would be inventory of actual buildings, or?
Primarily it's vacancies, is what they're looking for.
Okay.
But, for example, every year they will sit here and they'll ask the board, ask me when they interview me, but then they'll ask the board as well. They'll say, how many businesses are in your DDA district? If you don't know, you don't. Either you're not aware of the inventory, or you don't have one. And then they'll say, how many vacancies do you have? So the building inventory, would cover that. If we're well versed on an inventory, then we can immediately say it fluctuates, but we've gone from 26 to 30 businesses in the DDA.
What standard is that in?
Standard
Okay, so-
4, standard 4, number 8.
Wayne, you asked about number 2 in
Yep.
standard 4, celebrate unique history, and it says, organization builds a public awareness for the commercial district's unique historic assets and for good design. May include educational public awareness activities on historic preservation throughout the year and special activities during National Historic Preservation Month in May.
So we're working on that. We're just not there. We have the walking tour that's being worked on. It's just not there yet.
So could we get a point for the walking tour in the planning stage, maybe?
If you had this documented.
Yes.
If
Meeting minutes.
project brief. The design review and guidelines is the one thing that we have gotten marked down for many years, and it's a project. It really is a project, and it's not terribly sexy of a project. But it's, again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's examples of it out there that we can use and customize to our need.
Is that the one we've been talking about, where we were gonna get together some of the planning commission members and kind of bring it all together, and then some things happened, and
Well, that parallels the master plan goal.
Yeah.
And once that's in place, next year we wouldn't have a problem with that, but this year.
well, it's separate though. It's our own review process,
Right.
so it's separate from the master plan.
But what I'm saying is that is one of the goals of the master plan, is for these to all be in place. So that'll circle back around to completing those things that are our wish list for the next year.
Well, certainly we can use that then.
But the master plan won't be done before our review.
But the
So we may
meeting
have one,
is
it
next,
just has to
is
be
tomorrow.
changed.
Yeah, we already
Tour
have
won't
There
be
is a
done
master
either,
plan.
but it's
Right.
in the works.
And the focus on this and the changes that we're making to focus on that in the next year is process towards that, so that we get like brownie points for our meeting tomorrow.
We can, yeah. It certainly does, it shows that we are working on it.
Right, like we saw this is a change we're making, we've been working on this year.
Right.
Towards this goal.
It can.
6:30.
6:30.
6:30.
Next door.
Most people
Yeah,
think
I
it's
know,
7
guys,
o'clock.
Is it here?
6:45.
I've
I
had
wonder
3
why.
people this weekend say to me, I'll see you at 7. Everybody thought, I thought it was at 7 too until Liz corrected me last week.
Maybe
That's 6:30.
a reminder email would
Yeah, just one more time, Liz.
benefit.
And where it's at.
Need-
So I don't go to the
Need a
library.
little
Put a-
handhold.
put a date.
I wasn't gonna be there,
We're
that's
gonna
why
put a
I
date.
asked,
Say,
but.
Post it
Sure.
over here.
for all
Oh,
you
no,
dummies,
I'm
it's
still not gonna be there because
6:30. Great big.
Next
Old
door.
Town Hall.
Yeah.
Old Town Hall, 6:30.
But that was a thought, because I know that's been a big push is to,
And
not
we've
lose
had-
that historical presence and,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been at multiple meetings, including
Right.
everybody this year. I think that's effort towards.
So could we just
Our
simply
goal.
state that we'll utilize the standards in place in the current master plan?
And it's a true statement.
Yeah.
And we've got a document to back it up.
Yeah.
Just
And that we have worked hard to bring that to the forefront
And-
of the
right.
master plan.
Yeah, and
And that's been
yeah,
a continual year goal.
it's not a stretch, it's legit.
And all your facade grants and all your awning stuff goes through the planning department and for approval to make sure that it hits the standards, right?
We definitely feel like we want to tighten up that between our
Don't-
grant and whether it's the building official or the planning commission. We definitely want to tighten up that collaboration.
They don't have to, when they, I know we've discussed this before, but don't they have to come in and seek approval for a facade upgrades? I mean, isn't that part of,
Our current guidelines
so we
say
don't
that,
require that, but I think that the village does.
our current guidelines say that the applicant has to have all municipal approvals.
Right.
Before we're gonna give them anything.
Right.
So that is, they have to get approval from the village to
Right.
do their, but I think even if we weren't paying for anything, they still have to have approval for facade upgrades.
Sure.
So it's kind of a double, not a double standard, but kind of a,
It's redundant.
well, it backs us up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, redundant in a good way.
Redundant, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
In a good way
in a
though.
good way.
Well,
Because we can't approve an upgrade, or we can approve to help pay for it,
Right.
but if the village doesn't approve that upgrade or update to the facade, then they can't do it, whether we're gonna pay for it or not.
Right.
but that process, that should not be an expense to the building owner or the business owner to go through the planning process.
It's
I
not.
mean, to get their approval. I'm just asking, I'm just confirming.
It
No,
is.
They have to
We've got a
fill-
shortcut for this, right?
Well, they
No.
gotta fill out a sign permit or they gotta fill out a building permit like
And either-
anyone else.
And as long as everything is hunky-dory,
Right.
Bill can approve on site. If
I
not,
mean, there's no expense to the,
No,
there's a permit fee, right?
there's a
Yeah.
They're
permit
just
fee.
standard permit fees, it's not like they have to go before the planning commission
Yeah,
or
but
planning
why-
review.
why are they even having to pay the fee?
Because
That's my
everybody,
question.
everybody does, no matter what.
To get a
Well,
grant.
we're giving them a grant,
Right.
the
and they're
DDA's
paying
giving
a
them
fee.
money, and then they're turning around and giving it back to the village.
What is the fee? Like,
Depends
Depends
But
on what
it's
you're
not
talking
what it
about. I
but
mean,
it's
if it's,
not,
if
but
it's-
without a
if
a
it's,
variance needed or anything like that, it's
if it's just
minimal,
a
right?
sign, it's $40 and that only covers Bill to
Right, I mean, his
inspect it one time. That
his
doesn't
time is
include
worth
his,
money.
Well, I'm not disagreeing, but I mean, we're paying ourselves and we're turning around and paying ourselves. I mean, it's,
No, but then we gotta pay,
You're switching.
the
Yeah, we're
theory
just-
behind that is you gotta pay Bill. Cause he's on a, for lack of a better term, he's on a per ticket basis, so.
Right.
If the DDA did not reimburse the village would be paying for the DDA permits in essence,
yeah, okay.
Right.
you know. I mean, we could, but that's,
We're not
but that's something,
and we're not telling them they have to make these upgrades or anything like that.
Right.
These are upgrades that they wanna make, and they're gonna, money aside, money for the upgrade aside, they're gonna make it or they're not gonna make it with or without us, right?
Yeah, but
So,
when somebody has submitted something, whether they're painting a building, they're doing a sign or whatever, we're approving and paying for the cost of that sign.
The-
In that, the permit is not typically part of the request.
right,
Yeah.
That comes out of their pocket.
That's
right, which it would,
So we're
whether
not
we
paying
were,
for that permit to the village,
whether we were giving them a grant or not, they would pay that fee,
no matter what.
no matter what. And that's just part of the fee of upgrading your building or building a new building or whatever.
Whatever
That's
changes.
part of the work that needs to be done, and maybe we need to revisit that, maybe we don't. I think that if you're upgrading your building, I mean, you gotta pay for those costs associated with. I mean, it's not,
They haven't been there in the
That
past
was-
though, have they,
yes.
has it been enforced?
yes, always, at least 6 years.
First Impressions had to have a building approval on their sign.
Yes, a sign
Yeah.
permit,
A sign
We
absolutely.
did it for the township when we did our
Yes.
sign.
Okay.
The townships has been in place for sure a lot
Yeah.
longer, but
Yeah.
we reviewed that while I was on planning commission.
Okay.
I think we,
It doesn't always happen.
I was going to say, and that's, I know one thing that they would love more communication on the planning commission as to what's going on with things like that, the updates and the upgrades, and when they're hearing it right in the paper, they would love to
well, that's on Bill though, because
have some more.
if he's approving them, he needs to be taking
Other
that
Bill.
information to
Um,
And,
Well,
the
no.
other, yeah, the other Bill, sorry.
Building bill.
Cause if he's, that's not on the DDA, that's on Bill, because if he's approving upgrades and changes and updates, and he needs to be apprising the
The
planning
fact
commission.
that people are coming
of-
before asking for them is what we're talking about. When you're saying they're coming forward asking, the planning commission has no knowledge of
Right.
we
Well,
have
they
a
been,
should.
facade or a,
they've been, the planning commission's been getting a copy of
That was our.
the minutes, right?
the building report, correct?
I don't think the building report, which they probably should.
Yeah, no,
Just
we're
the
supposed to,
minutes, yeah.
that's my
They
fault
want a
if
copy of
we
the minutes.
forgot that, cause they were supposed to be,
That
Yeah.
was the decision.
that was part of
though.
why we were generating that, so that they would
Right.
get a copy of it, so we'll make sure
That was the
there's a copy
decision we
in their
made
pack.
when I was on planning commission though, was if Bill could streamline things, then the planning commission didn't have to go through and approve every single one, and people didn't have to wait, that was part of the plan.
Right.
So that's why that's the way it is.
Not
And
an
that's-
approval, just information to
Yeah.
know what's going on in the community, to, that's all.
Okay, so moving along on this standard performance evaluation, is there anything else other than me and timeline? So
Right, what can we do?
how are we going to do this in a timely manner then, in the next 30 days?
Last year, my month of December was pretty much committed to this, working on this, so
Okay.
that's not the ideal scenario, and, we don't mention that to the evaluators, because, as you recall, they will hammer away at the board saying, how much does the board do, how much do the committees do, or does the executive director do it all? And that's not what they want, so,
So
for
what can you
example,
dish out
the-
now that we can do?
well, the vision and mission statement, we can, I would recommend we cover it next meeting.
I did have a question. Promotes vision and mission statements. I mean,
What?
promote,
What you ask?
standard 2, number 7, promotes vision and mission statements. Meaning, what exactly?
commercial,
Well, because when I post when I, so on, as an example.
Organization actively promotes the vision and mission statement to the public using tools such as its website, business cards, press releases, banners, etc.
So when I post things on our Facebook page, on the downtown Ortonville page, and say I'm sharing something for the Level Local, and I'm sharing some product that she has shared on her page, and I'll go and I'll share it to the downtown Ortonville page. I always say shop, small shop, local shop Ortonville. I mean, is that what we're referring to?
Well, our
That's the
mission's at the
Right.
bottom of your agenda.
Right, I know the mission.
Vision statement is much longer.
But we're
But that's
supposed to
not-
review that every meeting. We're supposed to read that up, are we not?
We do.
We do.
We do, but I'm referring to the promoting part of that.
I would think
Is that-
promotion is promotion, good or bad.
Right, but I'm wondering what else I can be doing to promote it. Is it that, or is it something different? Do you know what I'm saying? When I'm promoting the businesses downtown, is that what this is referring to, or is it?
Making sure people know that this is who we are
Mhm.
is essentially, if that's answering your question.
Does that mean you have to put an ad in the paper once a year stating this is the village DDA, here's our
Because we can.
statement, or?
I'm looking for a way to handle this. Is what I'm getting at. I'm looking
So it's
for
already on
how
the
I can
website.
handle this.
Mhm.
It's on the website. I can put it on the
Christmas
Facebook
in the
page.
village, it can be on something that's going out,
Right.
and everybody gets handed out, and
It could be right at the bottom, just like this, right at the bottom of our
it should,
map.
Well,
it
we
should
run
be on
an
the back of the
we
downtown
run an ad in the
dollars, running
paper.
across the back of
For Christmas
Village
and
Village.
Right, we can
Shouldn't you
put
put that
this
statement
mission
on the
statement
bottom?
right
I've
at the
got
bottom,
the ad
just like
sitting
it
in
is.
front of me, I have to finish this morning, that I can add that to.
Right, like just how it is here, right at the bottom. But does that take care of that? Is that,
All of those things that you just mentioned sound like a strategy to address this and better communicate who we are.
But will that suffice
Yes.
to what they're looking for, is the question.
Quite possibly. But we started talking about this months ago so that we're not in this situation to, piecemeal our evaluation. So, ideally anything we do now should become a permanent exercise
Correct.
as opposed to just a,
Band-aid for a month.
exactly.
that's I'm suggesting I can put the mission statement, if it's not already there, on the Facebook page. I mean, that's a permanent.
Pin it to the top of the
Right.
Facebook page.
That's a permanent solution. If we have a procedure or whatever in place that anytime we print off a map or a whatever, that this mission statement's at the bottom. I mean, maybe that should already be something that's in place, but moving forward,
It will be.
that's how we
contact
handle it.
information and mission statement on them.
So that number can be, I will do
Yeah,
that.
and instead of back ending this in November, December, if
Right.
in January, February, we sit down and say, here's what we're gonna do going forward. So it's gonna seem like.
Let's do it now. If we're gonna do everything now, we'll go from this point forwards, this is gonna be on there.
Yeah.
As late as it is, we should have done it 5 months ago.
Right.
But if we do it now and it's
Yeah.
in place, then we know all of our,
Yeah, I'm just saying to do it again in
That's
February, so
stated.
that we don't have to
Right.
do it next November. So it'll seem a little redundant for the next 3 months, but if we do it twice, then that way we can say each year we've done this.
that's the annual review.
Yeah, yeah.
Wayne had to step out for a minute, he apologized, he'll be right back in.
So what else can we do here to assist you?
That's what I was getting. How can I handle this right now for you?
I think the long-term answer is making sure we have a system so that we don't have to handle this in a meeting here, that it's taken care of by a committee recommendation in a monthly report or whatever.
Right.
But right now, the Band-Aid fix his review, putting the vision statement, mission statement on the agenda for December? Or can we simply state that right now and make a motion to reaffirm our vision and mission statement?
We can do it in December, rather it be more substantive.
Yeah. Otherwise,
And
it'll-
on the agenda helps
Yeah.
actually.
So do we have to make a motion to put it on the agenda for
No.
December, you just do it?
Just do it.
and building inventory list.
Yep.
So to have that as an ongoing. And what committee would that be economic revitalization?
Probably.
Which one? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Maintain building inventory, just to have just have a spreadsheet for every month to say this is available, our current snapshot.
Now, do you have that on a map of all your businesses, whether they're vacant, not? I mean, what's the easiest way to do? You have a list of all the properties and which ones are vacant, which ones have a business in there, or if they've changed within the month, you upgrade it and change it, or how are you handling that?
We don't have
Currently.
one. We don't have one.
It's just we walk down the street and see what's there and what's not.
And I think we're
No, that.
contained enough that, you know, we're kind of aware of it. But it's not something that this board has paid attention to.
Okay.
You know, for example, and our actual development plan does have a list of all the properties.
By address.
Yeah. And it'll have square footage details and things like that, but it's 20 years old. Things have changed.
So if I go before December's meeting and I make a complete list of our businesses and historic buildings in downtown Ortonville and bring it to the next meeting, does that take care of that?
As long as we're well versed on it. You know, the exercise is the document that you give them,
Right.
but then the interview.
Yeah.
You know,
Do
are
we
we all
interview individually or as a group?
as a group?
Okay.
You know, unless you can't make that time frame and you come at a different time.
Well, I'll make the time frame.
And just as a
I'm
heads
not
up,
doing that by myself.
just as a heads up, I noticed I don't remember if it was last year. Anyway, the answer kept coming up. Matt's aware of that. Matt knows that, or
Oh, yeah.
Matt, because Matt was not in the meeting, and so it was evident because that's what they had Matt not be in the meeting.
We rely
So
on
if our
it.
point structure keeps pointing back to Matt, that indicates the viability issue, because
Right.
if you were to take, you know, if Matt gets hit by a bus, that's my phrase
Aw,
when
Matt.
I'm doing stuff.
Don't walk out in front of the bus.
Then they want to know that we handle things.
Right.
And so that'll point back to that reality that, yeah, we have these documents, but that's because Matt came to us in December and we put these documents together, but were it not for Matt, we would not have it. So it's just,
Unless the board asked him to do it for us because he didn't have a volunteer able to handle it.
right, but meaning
It's
that we
different.
initiated it,
Right.
yeah.
So the answer is yes. If I get that put together and brought back to December, that will get us to the point in having it, and then it'll be up to us to know it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will do that then. And I'll get some volunteers to help me. So we'll get that put together, and it's gotta be what, all the businesses and historic buildings, properties?
Properties in the DDA.
And their status.
Okay. Be rapidly turning into my Lauren. Poor Lauren.
And then the funding, the financial policies, we can go, you mentioned, because that's at a 5, so taking a couple points up to be,
That and the contractual agreement even number 5 there in standard 6, we probably can say, you know, we have allocated in our budget to facilitate our current projects.
But isn't that in from last year's June budget that you wrote for this year?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was a little more critical than I probably should
I don't know.
have been.
And then,
He was on the
Yeah.
but DDA is on
No.
the- I don't think
Yeah.
he-
Oh, that's-
You might- Michigan Municipal
Right, so no, but DDA has.
DDA has Main Street Oakland County.
There you go.
okay.
So.
But if not, you can always get a sample from them out, take that too, but I know you guys see coordinators from a different one.
Just so everyone knows, I just put the mission statement up on the Facebook page. So in a permanent location, so it's not gonna disappear off there.
The
But
one
so
that's bumped
it's on,
16,000 times underneath
no,
it?
it's in the about section, so it's permanent unless we go in and
Yeah,
remove it. So it is now on the website, it's now on the Facebook page, it is moving.
It's
What
been
you
on
say
the,
is going
it's been on the
operating.
website.
But you just said something else that's going out,
Yeah, my ad for today.
yeah, that's,
so we
That's
can.
it.
for
Jackie's
business
very
village.
adamant about having today.
All right.
Standard 6, number 1. Strategic funding plan for long-term sustainability. Do you already have that in the budget? Or is that something that is new?
that's how do we fund ourselves?
Yes.
Right. I mean, right now
Realizing
we
that-
say, okay, it's TIF dollars. I mean, do you have it explained where other funds are coming in already?
Very
Because you
small
showed zero.
percentage.
How can we have a budget if you don't have that in there?
Well, this is a funding plan.
We're not raising our own money right now, is
Right.
is the thing I think he's getting at. We're not doing something to make sure that things are coming in if TIF doesn't come through.
Right.
Or if we wanna do something beyond what TIF offers.
TIF's always on a chopping block, so what do we do if it's gone?
I mean, we have no control over it, essentially,
Well, we
over
could,
TIF.
We can fundraise to addition, I think to offset if it comes down to, you know, if my job gets cut, if my wife's job gets cut, we still have to raise funds for our household budget. So we're in charge of making sure that the DDA has money to operate.
right.
TIF is a nice blessing to have to fund that, but we're still in charge regardless of what funds are currently in place to go out and seek grants and do things like that, and that's, I think, what this is talking about, right?
Correct.
Well, and this is a national,
Membership.
this is a national forum, right?
Yeah.
Nationally, everybody except the state of Michigan has other funding. We're one of few, right, Matt, that does TIF funding?
Yes.
So, you know, they're not concerned with our issue about TIF, quite frankly.
Right, and so
Yeah,
they
it
wanna know
says,
what we're doing.
organization is taking steps to ensure long-term financial stability, and the board has completed and adopted a multi-year strategic fundraising plan.
Which we have not done.
Correct. Now, again, I was very critical in here. So can we look at this and can we say, while we don't have a document, we received multiple grants this year.
We fundraise the crap out of our.
We provided sponsorship opportunities or investment opportunities for local businesses and organizations. We have a 501c3 that we partner with to create sustainability. Do we have things, are we doing things that would qualify us to receive 2 points here? Probably. Is it a strategic funding plan that this board adopted? No.
So again, it's gotta be written into a funding plan that we all vote on and adopt and work towards.
Right.
Whether it be the farmer's market, Fence of Amos, or whatever.
Exactly. Farmers market would be in there as well, yes.
So do these have to be like a paragraph long, or do they have to be like multiple pages long to satisfy Main Street? I mean, what do you?
They want to know
I
what
mean,
they're
it's
of it and work
form-
on it.
Yeah, what do they expect?
I would say concise is fine.
Short and sweet?
Well, this says multi-year, I mean, this would not be a paragraph, obviously.
Let me ask a question, so,
But it's also changing.
I mean,
constantly.
You know, right now, we know that TIF is always on chopping block, but they don't, right? I mean, we say that we're relying on TIF. That's a long-term, I mean, we could present that as being long-term, and which it is, unless it's taken away, right?
I forgot the guy's name, Tom.
Tom Guzman.
So one of the things that came up was making sure to be able to retain a high-quality individual to be the director. And the question of whether or not we'd be able to make sure that we were competitive in that. And using the current budget structure, we were tight, and his statement to us was, what are you doing to raise funds to make sure that you can do that? And we didn't. So I think that's realistically kind of one of those examples of how to come down to doing that. And that's, you know, and it doesn't matter, that's just one specific budget line. But making sure that, you know, we realize that we're responsible for, you know, paying the director and then doing all these other things, as opposed to the director saying, here's the funds we have, here's the budget that we can do. Because the director's never going to say, I need this. A good one won't, and Matt hasn't. So that's just one example. And we weren't able to give them a response for that.
Do we implement the fact that most of our large community events and projects are sponsorship driven? I mean, I know that those are individual and based in, you know, year to year and things like that, but is that part of?
Long-term sustainability?
Right, I mean,
The question is, are they profitable?
well, some of them are. I know, I mean, our Eats in the Streets, those, you know,
It shows we're working towards
we're,
raising funds.
you know, we're charging
Yeah.
$75 a truck at 8 trucks. I mean, minus our advertising, and that was the cost of the, I mean, that event, we didn't lose money on those events, right? We didn't spend more than we brought in, for sure. So.
But that's again the sustainability where
Right.
it's
We're
creating a
working
revenue
on-
stream
Yeah.
Right.
that they want to see other than TIF or other than if he needs insurance or whatever. How are we going to cover that? You can't do it with your current budget.
Right, and so these events that were, I know Christmas in the Village, and I briefly mentioned that we're doing very well this year in our sponsorship fundraising, and so that's what I'm getting at though, is if I know that year to year and event to event is not a long-term sustainability plan, but if that is our plan, is to fundraise for events, is to fundraise for projects, and that is a plan, right?
Yeah.
Not specific to the event, but as a whole.
Yeah. And that's something we did not talk about last year, so that was something that's an improvement upon last year's review. So.
Most of our projects are intended to be
Long-term.
sponsored,
On long-term.
right, and so
Multiple
the
years.
farmer's
Not a
market
drain
is,
on the DDA. It is
Right.
it's meant to bring people downtown in increasing activities without a draw on the DDA and more
Right.
profitable to bring in more funds.
the Eats in the Streets event, the first one, we did not charge the trucks to come in because we were unsure of how it was gonna go. We didn't want to, you know, we wanna get our feet wet, but now our trucks, we have all of our trucks that are begging to come back, and they're more than willing to pay us to come and be here. They love coming to Ortonville, and so that was it was designed that way, but they're paying to be here, and they're basically paying for the event by,
No,
You know,
again,
so
just starting
that's-
it a couple times. Are we looking at doing more of that next year? Once a
I mean, I
month
don't,
or?
no, I would never do a food truck rally once a month. That will kill it. That's exactly what happened in Goodrich, they killed it. Those trucks that love to come to Ortonville will not go to Goodrich.
Because nobody showed up.
They killed it, they did it every month, and,
They did it a week,
yeah,
every Thursday,
no, one Thursday a month. Yes,
at the school,
yes.
it was every Thursday.
Uh-uh.
The whole month of June, every single Thursday, yeah. Because we went 3 in a row out of them. And then they decided to change up trucks and make it less.
Right.
So, 'cause-
Oh, okay.
Because by the end of that, they were having a problem too.
Because they didn't want to come back.
Mhm.
The trucks wouldn't go back. So you'll kill it by doing that. But for special events, we had them at the fireworks, we had them for the circus, we had them for Septemberfest. I mean, for special events like that, they will come, they will do very well, and they will pay to be here. And I guess that's what I'm getting at, is those are long-term plans.
But they're not written down that we
Right.
can submit to the committee.
I think those kind of events are more fluid as far as the planning and who's gonna show up. As far as I know, we're still having 2 trucks for the Christmas in the village. That's as far
I
as I
have a
know.
potential third if we desire it. But that's, the idea though is that the plan is that these events and projects will fund themselves. But we don't have it in writing, and that's where we're lacking.
Well, let me, there's already been a couple of people who have volunteered to take on certain things, so let me follow up with specific things that I would need help with as far as this.
Other than what we've
Right.
discussed taking on
Right.
today. Okay. I like that.
Obviously, these items have to be handled in the next 30 days.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, our goal will be to clean it up at the next meeting.
One thing we didn't touch on, standard 7 indicators, annual executive director evaluation.
Yeah, we did.
We did, before you walked in.
We did before you showed up. And that's in process, and Matt's gonna send out emails reminding board members that
Is
needs
that
to
done
be
by the
completed.
board or by one person?
They're not
Or-
usually
It's done by the board.
Yeah, so the information is collected by the board, and then I know
Allison,
Yourself and Allison.
Allison and perhaps myself will get together and
Review it.
review it. Make a recommendation back to the board.
Just like other employee reviews, right?
ask your coworkers how you like them. My boss says,
Do you enjoy?
Okay, Christmas in the village, right?
Yep.
What do we got? Anything heavy duty, or we don't need to spend all day on this thing, do we?
Not like you just did.
I know.
I've got some handouts I want to throw down. There's, first one you take to. There's 2 small sheets and then a large 8.5, 14.
Just the first one?
No, there's 2 sets
Okay.
and then the big one.
I don't need the big one.
Okay. That's this one. That's what I was going to give you this. The large one shows basically what's been allocated or donated. What we're having, last I heard. The second page is the parade itself, how many units are going to be in it.
Can you hand that to me? Or to them? Unless they want to know what they're saying. I'll share with you.
There should be enough to go around.
Oh, he had.
Okay, the large sheet,
I have that.
large sheet has all the donors, both in cash and in kind. I'm not sure, this is the last I saw of everything, so there might be more that I don't know of. Part of that was getting the logos from them, at least for the first 6, the $500 and $1,000 donors. Don't worry about that one yet. The second half of that sheet is what I have so far as pre-parade things going on. Paul, I have you down here somewhere, besides at the end of the parade for the carriage boards, okay? But I don't know what's going on during the parade itself or prior to the parade, if you guys are doing anything. There's some more questions yet to be answered. the pro photographer, name would be helpful. The village pub, I know they're doing some kind of food thing, but is it going to be inside, outside, or what? I don't know if you talked to Randall about the video service yet. He called me last night.
Is that gonna be an additional expense? Do we pay for that?
Yeah, we will be paying for it. Last I heard, spin art at
Yeah.
your place?
Yeah, we're doing
Okay. Is that inside on the sidewalk or?
that. No, it's inside.
Okay, I'll change the question mark. Some more, last I heard, the fire department's checking in that.
I got confirmation last night.
Okay. Turkey bowling, do we have somebody to head that up, and where was it going to be?
I don't know location yet. I'd like to see it at Roger Engel's property.
Is that the vacant lot?
Mm-hmm. But we do have people handling the visqueen and I'm working on getting hay bale, straw bales right now.
Okay, I downloaded a file, I didn't bring it with me, a document with, different kinds of turkey bowling and how you want to run it and so on. Lasantia is the carriage rides, so they're gonna be there at your place, Paul, after the.
Who's doing those this year?
Lasantia, the same ones you did last year.
Last year. How much are they charging?
$600. They're on the next page.
Did you find somebody for a hayride?
Yes. I need hay. I
Straw.
need hay,
Straw,
yes,
you need
straw
straw.
bales.
You need straw.
But, he's just gonna basically charge us the $100 for his fuel for the noon until he's gotta go line up for the parade. He's got his, I believe it's a 60s John Deere, with a trailer, and he just built his steps for it, and he's gonna just drive around town from noon till the parade, and then he'll be in the parade.
I'm hoping that Judy Miracle will allow a couple people in costume to ride on it. That's what I'm hoping. I haven't talked to her, don't know her. Oxford Bank is handling the pickle contest. So somebody's going to have to inform them what's required. Because I know how it was at my house before, just one little old pickle stuck in the tree. And the kids tear the place apart trying to find it.
Tony told me to get 3. I can pick up 2 more, but we'll need 2 more. That's okay.
They're giving us 5 gift cards.
So go ahead and go get 2 more. Got it.
Okay.
So we'll have 5 pickles
We'll have
total.
5 pickles.
Right. So we have to find 5 trees or 1 tree with 5 pickles.
They'll be in separate locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Christmas cards for the troops and letters to Santa will be at the Old Town Hall. Anything else I missed on that list?
We have confirmation from Miss Lynn.
From what?
Miss Lynn, the dance studio.
For what?
They are making something work for onstage. So Sarah's handling that. Sarah Hamlin, I think she's been here a couple times, most
Right.
of you know her. She will be running Old Town Hall.
Okay.
Her and I have already met. We'll have some stage presence. Miss Fran will be there from 4 to 5 or 3:45 to 5, somewhere in there, to do all her stuff. And she's self-sufficient. She will handle everything that she needs to handle. She's got it under control. Before the parade, though, will be
Movies?
Miss Lynn's dance studio, GOB, once I can get them to call me back. And we have classic movies. Charlie Brown, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph, things like that.
Shorts?
Yes, they're all 20-minute length, 20 to 25 minutes. Matt Bailey has graciously said that we can borrow his projector, which plays DVDs. We've got the screen over there, and Sarah will handle all of that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Do you have a DVD player?
Yes. Yeah, because I gotta plug it into that, right? Yeah.
Cartoon beat.
Yeah, I've got that.
Okay. Anything else on the pre-parade?
The Eastern Stars, the Cookie Walk, they also have crafts for sale.
Well, I thought, okay.
I just double checked.
Okay.
Check for 'em.
Well, I thought that was a kid's zone.
It is, but that's in the back of the hall.
Okay.
In the front is where the Eastern Stars will have bake sale and craft sale.
I have the hours of 12 to 5. Okay. So I have to verify that on the ad. Next page is the actual parade units that I have.
There, the main, Methodist Church, there are 3 activities happening there that I will get with you on.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the second page on the parade units, these are the people right now that are participating.
Oxford Bank,
They're having a car in the parade.
according to who?
What's her name, Kelsey?
Yeah, I gave it to somebody to
Okay.
check, because I talked to her when she was over here at the bank.
They're
She said
handling-
that she would do something with that, so I said, just put it in
Okay.
letter form and
We were,
give it to her.
we were unaware because they are handling the, gift cards for the pickle contest
Right.
and never said
Okay.
anything to us about that. So
I talked to her
that's-
about doing the globe.
Oh, gotcha.
And so she said they'd
that
have to,
turned out
they
to be-
would look at doing something like that, but they'd have to put a tent with something outside so they can hand out their advertising and so forth.
Right, well, the tent wound up being
The globe.
or the globe, I mean, yeah,
Disaster.
Lions Club
Yeah.
Lions Club is gonna be involved.
in the parade.
In the parade, yeah.
Okay.
They're gonna have a
Plus,
And-
truck or a float or something, I'm
I
not sure.
also emailed,
plus we're having our, feed store hot rod in the parade too.
The what?
the
Our hot rod that we have,
You have?
yeah,
Or Hamilton?
Hamilton's.
Okay.
Bob asked me about that last week.
Do you need a form? Okay.
He got the form there, so he was
Okay.
filling it out, so he supposedly sent it back. I don't know if he did or not.
Okay, let me know if you need one, I can email it to you.
You'll see on there 3 costume characters. I am looking for volunteers for this. I've already paid for them.
For the suits or the volunteers.
But I need volunteers to fill the suits. We have two, okay, what are they called? The one-eyed guy and the two-eyed.
Minions.
Cyclops?
I got 2
Minions.
minions.
Oh, minions.
And I have 2 of the fish, Oscar or whatever that orange fish.
Nemo?
Nemo. I got 2 Nemo characters and I got a Batman here. I got a Batman and a Captain America. The Captain America's got more meat to the suit, and Batman does not. So hopefully it's slightly warmer than me. So anyhow, if you know anybody that'd be interested.
I emailed Fred late last week about who has registered
Okay.
for the parade to make sure that we're on the same page as him. And Carrie and I, when we have been contacting sponsors, we have invited all of them to participate in the parade as well. So I was asking Fred for a list of who has registered so that we know who to go back and follow up with to see about getting
Did
them
you ever get it?
re-registered. I have not heard back from Fred yet, but it was possibly Friday, so he may not have been around in the office after that point. So
Okay.
I hope to hear from him
Is there a
today.
charge for that?
No,
To be in the parade? Mm-mm.
Okay.
just the gas you use or,
But you need to be registered.
Yeah, right. He's got to line everybody up.
yeah.
Do
Um,
you need a form?
I don't know, they might, the Lions Club might need it.
I got one right here.
Okay, I'll take one just
Okay,
Just for funsies.
for good sake. Thank you.
going on to the, probably this is more Courtney and Carrie. The one with the picture. Underneath the picture of the boy, I need some information regarding, I'll add the admission statement across the bottom, but I need some information about the Christmas window decoration so I can fill that blank there.
Okay, what is this?
This is the ad going into the citizen.
This is not the. This has
And-
not got anything to do with the passport, right?
The passport's in there. Does it not meet?
This is not the passport that.
That's the last one I had. I've been waiting for a new one from Lisa.
Okay, because I know Lisa and I had talked about not putting Genesis's logo in there and ignoring the logos for all the rest of our downtown businesses, which we are supposed to be promoting.
Promoting,
On the passport itself,
right.
about not putting Genesis's logo on the passport itself. And she does have, you're gonna go peek if Jesse's there. She's got copies of the passport for me. I just talked to her Friday or something.
Well, I sent her an email Friday or Saturday looking for
Right.
a PDF of it so I can use it.
Right,
And
so
I hadn't seen
it's,
anything.
it's ready, she had it ready for, me to bring to you this morning to get approval. But I wasn't able to get to her and
Whatever.
she wasn't open yet today, so I just wanna make sure if that's what that was,
Okay. Underneath it, I say passport instructions. I need some copy to put in here.
I think she just put on there, name and number and need not be present to win. And return
and
to
walk
the info
around.
booth.
Yeah, I'm gonna be bringing a tent to put up at the corner, across from the clock. It's got sides, all 4 sides.
That'd be
I have to
nice.
check to see if the mice have got in there.
Sure.
Kick them out.
And
So-
we have access to a couple of 8 10x10s, I mean.
TML, I didn't know if that was
That's correct.
okay.
That's good. I'm sorry, what?
We have access to, 2 10x10s, right, Matt? If necessary. They don't have sides, but
Yes.
Well,
if necessary, we have access to those.
okay. But what I need is information on underneath the passport, underneath the window decorating contest.
Okay.
I haven't seen any artwork on the contest at all.
There has not been any yet.
Okay. Page 2.
This.
So this ad goes across the top of the Citizen. The left one is the pictures, the right one has all this information.
There's a gentleman at the counter.
I got it.
He's coming.
The Christmas in the Village has all the village sponsors going down the left that I've seen.
Is there any vendor spots left?
Those are all the ones I have listed under the donors. They're not in any particular order other than alphabetic. On the right-hand side is all the activities. The type got smaller from last year because there's a whole lot more people involved, a whole lot more going on.
They weren't there. My husband said that he would be a minion, but he said his body's not in the right shape to be Batman.
Nor is mine. But Matt could handle it, you know, so. Either Matt actually could handle it. So on the right-hand side is all the events that's going on. What I don't have is addresses for some of them. I didn't know where to stage the turkey bowling. The tractor hay rides, where do you want to stage them at to start? You know.
I'm pretty sure Lisa is holding the turkey bowling behind the building, and her husband was gonna head it up. Isn't that what we had talked about?
I know they were volunteering to help put it together.
The
was
turkey
last-
bowling?
Yes, the
Behind the
The
store
lanes.
or by Ingles?
I wasn't here for the last meeting. School,
I didn't hear anything about this either.
lots of
So.
things these days. We have I have no problem getting in touch with Lisa and finding out for
Okay.
sure what they're.
Well, I need to send this to press today. So,
I would say if we don't have specific locations,
Just list it.
yeah.
okay. And what I don't know is like the hours. I put 1 to 3 on turkey bowling, for instance.
It'll be open the whole time,
Okay. So 1 to 5 or 2 to 5, 12 to 5.
12 to 5.
Tractor hay rides. Do we want stages anywhere in particular?
Christmas tree? Out front.
Pick up out front, pick up and drop off in front of Old Town Hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they can have, while they're waiting, they can have hot chocolate
Coffee.
and coffee.
Can we use Are
Yes.
we, no, okay. Never mind.
Um,
Is
Liz-
that good?
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds
Liz,
good.
Liz Scott at the petting zoo, where
She's
was
the corner of Church, Mill and Cedar.
Mill and Cedar?
The vacant lot
Oh, that one,
next
okay.
to Tony's, yep.
And she's 12 to 5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just, if you guys can go over the times on some of these, I was just grabbing 12 to 5 or some of them I already knew. The Christmas movies, I had kids in red, not sure what it was, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna
they
leave.
are.
Okay, I'll change that.
Unless we have specific times, I would be more generic.
Mm-hmm. Take, for instance, things that are going on all day, take the time right off.
Yeah.
Just event and location.
Okay.
Because
Well, then, how about the cards? Is that a 1 to 5 or 12 to 5?
12 to 5,
Okay,
that stuff will be available the whole time. The cards, the letters,
okay.
where am I at? The photographer is intending on being there 12 to 5.
The craft zone, the kids zone?
No idea. That's that one guy who doesn't like to talk to me very much.
The Masons.
No, Jason has that. Jason Gall has that. He likes to talk to Matt though.
So is that 12 to
Prefers
5?
to talk to Matt.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can actually
Same with the
come in
cookie
and
walk.
Sit down and take his time.
Yep.
So this is craft and cookie walk. Marshmallow warming station is,
All day.
okay. The carolers, 3 to 5:30 throughout downtown. Storytime at Old Town Hall is 4 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
The photo spots throughout town and then sleigh rides afterwards.
It's not that his church doing food or anything,
You're
Matt.
gonna have 3 things going on, Matt, I think you said?
Yeah.
We don't know what it is yet. He
I,
might have it, I don't know.
yeah, they're doing the ham dinner, they're doing
Oh, yeah.
a bake sale, and they're doing, gift-ready gifts.
So is this
Because I
going
didn't
on
see
the
mine
ad?
here, and I know Chris is
You'll
cooking
find
for
some
him,
of the
so.
new ones, I think.
Is that going on this ad?
Yeah. Yep.
One of the churches.
I'm running out of room.
Sure. Short notice.
Type's
I
gonna
know.
get
That's a
smaller.
good thing.
Even if we just had it for like 2 hours or something.
My issue is that short of United Methodist Church, I haven't got any pictures to respond back to me.
Maybe. What did Amy say to me the other day about Hillside?
I contacted Amy. and
She
said
said
she'd
to
get in
me,
touch.
what did she say to me?
Well, they have something going on this weekend.
At Hillside?
Yeah, something about Small Business Saturday.
Amy asked me about if there was, what time, let's see, Pastor Cliff is going to speak with our children's minister to see if he would want to do anything for Christmas in the village regarding a performance.
Yeah.
What time do you have available? And so I told her on the stage at between 12 and 3, whatever
Okay.
time, and she said, okay, but that's the last I heard about that, but I just was thinking if one of the churches wanted to do a live nativity for, you know,
Yeah.
2 hours or something.
Let's,
Not necessarily
let's
all day.
stick to what we have
This was a
coordinated and.
Side conversation.
Yeah, because
so I
there's a lot
apologize.
going
on
It
at
wasn't
town
for
hall.
everyone.
The reindeer is 1 to 3.
Where's the reindeer? Okay.
Are you getting all this? That's not on Facebook.
And it's at the museum, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
You have on here where to stage the petting zoo. Do you know where you're putting that yet?
Mm-hmm, that's
Yeah.
going down at Cedar and Mill,
Next to
the vacant lot.
Tony's.
Oh, that's what you're mentioning, okay.
Matt and Courtney, I'll send you guys a PDF of this when I'm done with the changes. If somebody has any information on the window contest, I'd appreciate it. So, any other things I should know about on this?
Just I will get you the info on Methodist Church.
Okay. I'm surprised I haven't got a call from Jackie yet.
Do we want to list the lighting of the Christmas tree?
It is. Tree lighting is listed in post parade.
Where?
Oh, on this document here.
Flyer, it's not.
Right,
On
on
the flyer?
this.
On the flyer, yeah.
Is it not listed? I thought I did.
It's in the heading, the top paragraph.
Okay.
So.
I'll make it at
it's
the
at
bottom.
5:30, right? So.
I'll add it to the bottom.
And I have a picture somewhere here.
The high school choirs last year actually helped with the singing part of it.
Who did?
Yes,
Uh,
Tanya's already been in contact with them.
So they're going to stroll through the community, but are they going to end up here?
Yes,
Okay, good.
Oh, Brandon Choir?
yes. They will be at the tree lighting.
Good. Somebody needs to get out the songbooks.
Okay. Just so you have that sheet in your hand with all the activities, this is the activities from a couple of years ago, or last year, whenever it was, 17. Just this much. So hopefully we'll get more than a 10-minute parade. What else do I got here?
Do we want to list tours at the old mill?
We can list whatever you want. I'll make room for it. Somebody will need a magnifying glass to read, though, in the newspaper.
Yeah.
If you want the turkey bowling thing, I have. The instructions are here.
Well, you have Santa at the old.
Right, but they're open 10 to 6 that day.
Pass it
For
down,
tours.
Courtney. Okay.
All set?
No, not yet. I just got a cramp go through my leg.
Do we
Do we?
add them then, the old mill tours from 10 to 6?
I'll find room.
Makes no difference to me. I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing anything, so I looked at my list.
Last thing is signage. This is going to be the 4x6, 2x6 banner, but I'm going to exchange it to a 2x8 because I got 2 levels of logos I have to put on here, and I need one from Frog before he gets a Strangle logo on his
Bullfrog?
yeah. When I say Strangle, it comes off his website, so it's going to fall apart when it gets blown up.
Okay.
I was wondering.
So anyhow, the banner will be added on to this side, and I'll have the listed and the logos. The step stakes, I'm going to change it, I believe. This is one of them, and the other one has a little top part added to it for a sponsor. I think what I'm going to do, this one's just a generic one that we can add this top piece to. It's like a 24 by 6 inches. And Matt did it last year. So this kind of thing. Quantity wise, I was thinking probably at least 4, but probably 6 of these banners. Some of them, like at Mill and 15, will be double sided. You know, I'll have 2 of them up to cover both directions, or at an angle, something like that. One down by A&W's and one up on Oakwood somewhere, right there by Church Street. If anybody else has any other ideas.
I have the color.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty.
thank you. I know Genesis is putting the logo and the information on their outdoor sign in rotation, and same with their Enlightened TV broadcasts in branches. I'm not sure if they're doing any other branches, but they're also doing a email blast, probably to Oakland County, twice.
Would Oxford Bank do that on their TV that they have inside, or do they not do those type of ads on it?
I
I
don't
can
know.
talk to Kelsey and find out.
I used to program it at Genesis, so I knew what was possible.
Right.
So going in there, I was asking for that. Anything else that I need any information on? I didn't think I'd take this long.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Courtney, Carrie, you guys get to me. I'll be around. So I do have another meeting to me.
Item D, committee project and trustee updates.
Mm-mm. Are we, oh yeah, are we skipping, oh. Go the other way around. I thought this was before that. Christmas in the Village, that's it, for me.
That's it for me.
Nothing else. D, TIF, capture.
I thought it was important to try and explain a little further where we are capturing TIF dollars from in light of the library opting out of tax capture. Essentially, we're losing $5,800 with them opting out. What you have here attached is a worksheet that I received from Oakland County, which shows where we are capturing. And I first tried to eliminate the rest of the information on here, but then of course they're all attached with equations. So I just tried to minimize some of the other things. But you know, we are capturing from Oakland County Operating, Oakland County Parks and Rec, Huron-Clinton Metro Authority, Oakland Community College, Grandin Township, Police, and Village of Ortonville. It's all within the boundaries of the DDA, but it's important for us to be aware of where these are coming from.
And as they go up, our tip goes up?
It's based on value.
Right, but if the millage is raised,
Our percentage goes up as far as recovered knowledge.
Our TIF collection is based on, there's a base valuation for the properties in the DDA, and as those values go up, our capture is based on that valuation increase on the properties.
so not the millage itself.
Well, before we get to that, you'll see that there are some that are negative. Looking in the third section of capture, some of them are negative, which suggests that the valuation of the properties in that category have gone down from the base. So it's not that we're giving funds back, it's that we are not capturing as much.
When it says 1985, is that the value of the property in 1985?
Yes,
Or not?
85.
Why 85?
That's our base, that's our founding year.
Okay.
So they take the valuation of the properties then. You know, what is...
When do they update that?
Annually.
So they're saying the property values from 1985 to 2018 have gone down that much?
In that category. And so for example, that is commercial personal property. Now we'd have to dig much deeper to know exactly what parcel that is. But if you recall, we had to return funds 2 years ago because the property at the corner of Mill and M15, that property owner challenged the valuation of the property, and one, and we had to return $2,400 worth of tax capture.
So their assessment.
Right.
God, I love a good tax return.
So to your question about, you can see the rates, there's a rate column. It's faded in some of the sections.
So yes, theoretically, if the millage goes up, your funds go up in those
Categories.
appropriate categories.
So that doesn't necessarily mean that the assessment went down, it could just mean that the millage went down.
Correct. They're capturing less, like the library is no longer capturing,
For their loan.
yeah. So if the millage goes away, in some cases, the money goes away, except with the exception of, that only refers to special millages, like
Right.
police, fire, library, because they don't get taxed on the property value. And the other whack you guys probably took was personal property tax when the state did away with that too.
We actually they compensate us.
Yeah, it's supposed to reimburse us for it.
Yeah.
And that's the total dollars we have coming in revenue every year.
Tip.
Right.
Well, Bill just mentioned one item that's not on there, which is the personal property reimbursement, which this year is over 15,000.
Okay.
Anything else?
Because they opted out for 2018, that's not starting next year, that's our budget that we are currently operating on is.
Correct. That 5,800 is in our current budget.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Any additional business to come before the board?
I hope to attend the village council meeting on the 26th, but I am not 100% certain on that. I'd like to thank them for their contribution to Christmas in the village, which, by the way, both the township and the village make donations, sponsorship donations to Christmas in the village. So I want to go ahead and personally thank them for that.
I'm glad you brought that up. If others can attend the meeting on the 26th, I would appreciate it. We're being presented with a check for $2,500 from Genesis Credit Union in Main Street, Oakland County.
The DDA is going to be presented at the village council meeting?
Yes.
From Oakland County for,
The retail challenge.
oh, okay.
Are you going to be there?
Yes.
I will make it a point then to be there. Is Mary gonna be there?
I don't know.
It's kind of her baby.
Okay. Calendars in front of you. Make note of those items, if you would.
Once I get a nicer flyer printed or put together, I will email that to everyone about the Christmas window display, and then we can start promoting and pushing that as well. I already have confirmation from the Deputy Overall Scholarship Fund and the BGYA that they are more than happy and willing to participate with us to be part of the fundraising opportunity. I have not heard from OSEF, but again, once I get that put together, we should start, share it with all your family, friends, all that kind of stuff.
So the December board meeting will be on December 18th at 6:30 PM here, preceded the evening before, day before, by the village council meeting. 17th, planning commission, December 4. Of course, Christmas, the village, December 1. We haven't talked much about Saturday, Small Business Saturday. Anything?
We distributed marketing materials to the downtown merchants that they came from the national organization, Small Business Saturday. There is a specific contest that Oakland County is having where shoppers, local businesses, and even employees of those businesses have a chance to win cash and prizes. There has been some social media marketing for that. There will be, the DDA will be putting out an email this week on both Small Business Saturday and Christmas.
We shared that social media marketing tool, we shared that to the Facebook page. Also the Christmas window contest starts Small Business Saturday, so that's out there too.
Meeting is now adjourned. There is no other business coming before this board. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Gordon,
Yes.
send me whatever thoughts you have on the window.
Yeah, I have it on my computer, which is right here. But I've
No,
got
just
it
go ahead
here.
and send it to me so I can put something on the
Okay,
ad.
I will get that as soon
And,
as I get connected to that.
Yulowski,
after this,
I need
right?
your logo.
Or were you part of that?
Matt, do you have
That wasn't
Olowski's
there
logo
at the beginning.
from past sponsors?
Okay,
They
okay.
sponsored, they were big sponsors, $1,000 sponsors.